if everyone knew you just did this one thing and you make $1 million a year, or 100 million or whatever, then everyone would be doing it and business would be easy, but it's not like that. So you have to test, keep changing, and then eventually, you'll crack the code.
Hello, you guys. Welcome to episode 136. What I love about podcasting is the cool people that you meet along the way. One of my guests, Daniel Tolson, who you would have already heard his episode before this one has aired. He was back on episode 130. Now, we had such a great chat, and he literally was like, I have amazing people you should meet. So this is one of them. He actually introduced myself and the next guest, and I know you're going to enjoy this chat. He is a fellow Aussie. His name is Athin Cassiotis. I hope I said that right. Cassiotis, actually. And look, this guy's a brilliant mind for building businesses. He's a phenomenal background, great expertise, which you'll hear about. And right now what he is he's a business growth expert. He's an investor. He's an international speaker. He's a coach, a mentor, a consultant. He has his own podcast, you guys. And he ultimately helps business owners like yourselves to grow and scale, to create wealth and freedom in your life, which is everything that we stand for in this podcast. So you're going to learn a little bit about his 9 keys to business growth mastery, his system that he uses, and just some really great advice for yourselves as you are growing and you're thinking about where you're positioning yourself in your business as far as branding goes, and just a few things that you might want to consider to work smarter right now with what you are doing. So without further ado, shall we do it? Shall we welcome Athin onto the show? Here we go. Athin, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. And yourself?
Good. I love the conversation that we're about to have. I purposely have hit record right at the start where I didn't get to know you too much because I made mistakes. I'm sure you have too as a podcast owner or host, where you like, oh my gosh, I should have hit record on that conversation. So I thought we'd just jump into it and have a chat and record everything.
Yeah, that's the best way, right? Let's go on the fly. I'm sure there'll be a lot of value being shared.
Absolutely. All right. Before we get to your backstory and who you are and how you help businesses, we're going to start with your own tips around growing a business smarter. I mean, obviously, there's so much out there right now about people burnout, stress, anxiety. It's a thing, and it's especially a thing with business owners. So how do you personally, during your moments of a little bit more overwhelm and maybe growth in your business, what are 3 tips or so that you use personally to manage those times?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing is taking those times of being aware when you are in those states, right, where you're maybe pushing a little bit too much, overwhelm or whatever. And I normally go outside and do some grounding, right? So hopefully you've got some grass out the back, or maybe just go somewhere to a park down the road if you don't, right? If you're in an apartment, and literally, I don't care what people looking, if I take my shoes and socks off, right? And I literally will just stand on the grass and I'll just take some deep breaths, right? And even just in your house at any time, just taking 3 deep breaths very slowly, holding them and everything like that is actually proven to reduce stress and overwhelm. But then if you take it to the next level, when you do it with grounding, where you've got your feet flat, on the grass or, dirt or something there, that's the earth. And you're sort of breathing through that, where you're breathing, through the earth out in, and in releasing it, it actually is also proven to, help you even more. So that's one way that I do that. And I do it throughout the day because, we're not machines that can just go hard for 8 hours straight, right? We need to have little breaks in between, and those little breaks are aware. So that would be one thing, right, that I would say is, that's how you can help yourself to get back and get focused again on growing. So that's more from the awareness side. If we're going to talk strategy now, right, in those ways as well about growing, is that the way we want to go to now on the strategy side too?
It's completely what you do in your business. So I love that you're kind of taking a couple aspects. So please go where you want to take it. Yeah,
definitely. So, from a strategy perspective, I would say that understand how, if you want to grow, right, what are the key things that you are growing? So look at your current clients. Let's assume that you have a great product or a decent product or service right now, because there's a lot of different renditions of who we help, but you've got something decent that you're offering to people. So where are your best clients? which are the ones that are the most profitable, the ones you like working with? Who are these people? Really understand that and go, okay, how did you get these clients? Where are they coming from? Because normally there's a thing called the 80-20 rule, which you probably know of, is that, 20% of, the outcome, creates 80%, right? So what is the 20% of the actions or 20% of the clients that create 80% of the great revenue, whatever it is like that. So understanding where are these key clients, where are your best clients, where have you got them from? Do you need to double down on those activities, right? So understanding where they're from. And I would say, from a marketing sense,
Yep.
is that think about marketing like a chair, where a chair has four legs. Ideally, we have four ways of attracting leads into our business, because a lot of businesses out there, they rely on referrals, right? Word of mouth. And yes, referrals,
Yep.
word of mouth are great. It shortens the sales cycle. Everyone loves them. It's very easy to get them over the line a lot of the time. But it's a little bit of a sort of, what happens there if you don't get any referrals, word of mouth for a few months? Your business dies, right? So you need other ways of getting leads here. And I'm sure we'll talk about this, a little bit later, but it could be some things that you're offering for free, some sort of lead magnet, like it's an ebook or checklist or something. Maybe, you're doing some events, some free events or things like that. Like, what are some things? Partnerships is a massive one, right? You could do advertising, organic things. There's a lot of different ways. So, and it's a lot of testing. So, try a lot of different things, because every business is a little bit different. It's, if everyone knew you just did this one thing and you make $1 million a year, or 100 million or whatever, then everyone would be doing it and business would be easy, but it's not like that. So you have to test, keep changing, and then eventually, you'll crack the code. That's the type of mindset you need and the type of action you need in terms of marketing, right? So that would be,
Yep.
one big thing that I would say for people is keep trying until it works. And sometimes you may need to, try to change your audience, your avatar, your niche, things like that, potentially, because where you're going may not work, right? If you're doing it for a period of time. But don't just do it for a month and assume results straight away. Try it for 3 to 6 months or so and see how well you're going there. So that would be another tip, is testing a few different things there.
Nice.
And then sales is really important, right? If you're talking about growth, right, in the business, is are you really obsessing in a good way and wanting to master the art of sales? Because that's really the most important skill. And some of us have, these crazy experiences or whatever, where, feel like you're being sold to as the car salesman or sleazy things like that, that unfortunately can stop us from, actually being able to sell properly. And sales is really about serving, right, the other person. That's the way to think about it. It's just a process that we go people through. It's no hard tactics here. We're just trying to, determine, does this person have a problem that we can solve? Because that's what entrepreneurship is all about, is understanding that we've got a problem that we're solving. And then does this person have that problem? If they do, great. Then, offering that to them, and then it's up to them, right, to do that and put it in a nice process. And when you understand that sales process really well, of building rapport, digging on that problem, qualifying them as well. So not everyone that you want to speak to is a good lead, right? You want to qualify them, that they're the right fit for you. And then, offering them, how to work together. And I think that those are some really simple key steps that you can do from a higher level, which of your own energy, but then focusing on the 20%, the marketing and the sales, right? If that's what you're wanting for growth, that's going to get you the biggest outcomes, those revenue generating tasks, basically, right? Instead of spending 3 hours on emails in the morning, that's may not be, affecting you. So that would be some of my top tips there.
Absolutely brilliant. You know what I love what you said about the marketing piece and tip two around testing is I actually tying that back into anti-stress and growing smarter, because so many people that I've met and known over the years, they get so attached to an idea or concept for a campaign, and then it like fails and then they feel like a failure. So I love that you said, just like, don't get attached, just keep testing stuff, makes it more fun and lighthearted. And the sales thing too, that you just quickly put in there, the qualification piece, making sure that you're speaking to qualified people. That also limits stress as well. I think the fact that you actually don't want to work with everybody, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely great points. And, why, get on a call that's not really relevant and wasting time,
Totally.
technically, speak to people that you want to speak to and that want to speak to you. And then, you have a much better time and more relaxed and more efficient and effective time.
Yeah, love it. Okay, so you are a business growth expert. You do loads of speaking. You're an investor. You're right in there with the business scene. And what I'd love to know is how you became a growth expert. What's your past like?
Yeah, definitely. I'll share a quick version of my story. So I grew up in
Yeah.
Adelaide, South Australia.
Yep.
Adelaide's like a big country town. Parents as high school teachers, and started my entrepreneurial journey at high school in year 10, about 15 years old, where I was selling VCD movies. So I was one of the first people to get a CD burner for those slightly older
Oh
people
my.
of
I love
today.
it.
Yes, the youth of today will be like, "What's a CD?" Getting these, on two CDs, and Fast and the Furious #1. That's how long ago it was the first one that I did. I used to get these, from my cousin, and I had to think strategically ahead, just quickly, right? I didn't know anyone else who had a CD burner, and I got this, and I was like, I'm going to sell these for $10 each, but I want to do as many as possible in one go, because as soon as it goes out, anybody else could burn this as well. So I would, sell 5 to 10 at a time, make $50, $100, and I would keep doing that for multiple movies, right? So that's thinking ahead strategically. So that's where my
Yeah.
entrepreneurial journey started. I actually ended up dropping out of high school in year 12. My
Okay.
parents as high school teachers didn't like that, as you can imagine, but I got a job at a big environmental company after. I worked my way up, and then the head office in Sydney moved me to Sydney, which is great, and a lot of great experience there. And everyone was talking about business, all their degrees, and I had nothing. I just worked my way up. And then I realized I could get into an MBA, a Master's of Business Administration at UTS, one of the big unis here, just
Yep.
based on about 8 years of experience working, which I had at the time. So I skipped the school and bachelor and just went straight to the Master's, and started learning about business, started really loving business, a lot of the core subjects. And then there was a change of management. Wasn't enjoying work there after 10 and a half years, and I left that job and started my first company, which was a waste management consulting business. So
Okay.
taking all of my knowledge, right, and basically giving it to the industry now. And, got Westfield as my first big client, saved them like $4 million a year, 20 million over
Incredible.
5 years. Work with Kmart and Target and Defense and Officeworks and a lot of big brands, which is cool there to add specific value. And I'd go to networking events, and people would be like, "Oh, Ethan, I got this problem in my business. What do you think?" I'm like, "Oh, why don't you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?" And they're like, "That's really good. I need to write that down. Tell me that again." And this would happen multiple times. So I was like, okay, I've got a very good strategic brain, a good memory with my MBA, with my own business experience, with, my knowledge. And my coaches and mentors of what I'm learning as well. So I should create a business out of this. So I started business coaching, mentoring as well in 2019, and ever since then as well. So still doing both companies and really helping, business owners grow and scale their businesses to create wealth and freedom. And I've helped anyone from startups to 6-figure, 7-figure, and 8-figure businesses at all different
Incredible.
levels. Which is great. Sort of with my 9 keys, the business growth mastery there, and also finished my MBA in entrepreneurship, as well as become an NLP master practitioner. So I'm able to reframe mindsets, because sometimes that's a big
Yeah.
thing, right? On holding business owners back. One mindset shift could make, the big difference. From there, I've started my podcast as well. The Business Growth Show, started COVID, over 4 years, 200 episodes and counting. And then, looking at doing other things. I've invested in many companies. I'm looking at acquiring companies, other deals, things like that, which interests me. And the way I think of it is, having multiple streams of income, right? Multiple businesses I like, less risk, diversification, because you never know what happens, and really building that up and helping my clients do that, so they can create more wealth and then freedom, ideally, to do what you want to be doing.
You have an incredible background, just so diversified and such a brilliant journey. And love that you're a fellow podcaster as well. Speaking on that before we move on. So the Business Growth Show, is it you? Do you do interviews for, because obviously people listening to this might want to know, what's your podcast about?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the Business Growth Show, it's all interviews, basically, apart from the first episode. That was me. So I've interviewed a lot of big names, like,
Yeah.
Bruce Buffer's, Jay Abraham, a lot of people in Australia as well as, just normal entrepreneurs as well, that just, wanting to share their story and share some value on the podcast. It's very wide, right? So anything to do with business, but it's also what's connected to business, whether it's the mindset, the health side, and things like that affects our business, like what we're talking about today, as
Love
well.
it.
So really leaving it open, and over 200 episodes. So I love for people to join in, and maybe I can interview someone, and maybe I can get you on there as well, Heather, and we can share the love, so to speak.
That'd be great. Thank you. Now, just a kind of an interesting question. I'm curious because you know a lot about business. So I'm really curious about you personally. What are you great at in business? What are you great at?
Yeah. I think one of my biggest skills is strategic thinking, right?
Ah,
Or, accurate thinking, whatever you want to call it, right? So thinking many moves ahead, basically.
yeah.
So, one of my clients had a very great business. We did a lot for her, multi-million dollar business. And I'd always be like, if this is going to happen, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, helping her really thinking ahead. So when she was going into a situation, she would do this. And then we finished, she went with another standard coach, let's call it, that was more specific for her industry. And she called me up 3 months later and she says, Athin, I didn't realize when you called yourself a strategist and you were doing all these things to me, you were preparing me for a lot. And this other coach that I got later was just telling me to do things and I was just doing them without telling me what could potentially happen. And she had to shut down the business 3 months later, liquidation, right? Which is crazy because we had it in a very good spot. And she goes, I didn't realize the value of your strategic thinking and what it is there, and just don't follow people blindly about what could happen if you make the decision so you're ahead. So it's a bit of a challenging story, but it shows you, right, that if don't just follow people blindly, like think, if I do this, if I do that, this could be for business decisions, this could be in a meeting, right? If you're preparing yourself for that, for a sales call, this could be for a partnership. Like always think, if I do this, this could potentially happen, this could potentially happen. So I think that's one of my biggest skills, and helping others to think like that, or just in my coaching sessions to allow them to do that. And that's from me having a good memory, from me being around a lot of entrepreneurs from a lot of different industries and seeing at different stages and knowing, what's coming as well. So yeah, that's probably one of my biggest skills. I can teach all areas of business, mindset, all that type of stuff. I would say that would probably be the number one.
Nice. Now, you mentioned earlier the 9 keys to business growth MBA, Mastery MBA system, I think is what you called it. With that, I'd love to know more about how that works. And if you perhaps maybe have a case study or somebody that you could tie to that and how you worked with them through that program or that formula, that would be excellent. So tell us more about the 9 keys.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, my 9 keys to business growth mastery. So there's 3 key phases, right? We've got design, deal, and deliver. So the design phase, it starts with mindset, the most important, right? Because I can teach everyone the same thing, but we get different results. So we've got to fix that first. Then strategy, and then planning, right? So these are the 3 design, really foundational areas. Are we going in the right direction with our strategy? Are we then planning for our success? So once we've got those 3 areas right, then we go into the deal phase, which is branding, marketing, and sales. How are we branding ourselves, personally, business, how we marketing, getting the leads. We've already been talking about that. And then sales, right? How we get in the clients. So that's the real deal phase, the engine there of growing the business. And then in the deliver phase, it's numbers, systems, and leadership. So you got to know your numbers in your business, really important, not just financial numbers, but numbers around your clients and other things like that. What are the systems to automate a lot of things that you're doing and in your business there? And now AI is coming into that to even, supercharge that now. And then, leadership is, you can technically grow, to a 6-figure business by yourself by wearing all the hats, but that's a lot of stuff and could make you overwhelmed and things. Ideally, you need to hire people, right? Whether that's outsourcing or in your team, and really to be a leader for them to really want to work with you, right? So that's the 9 keys. And in terms of a case study where a client that I've helped with, so client Siobhan had a great business, and I just went, okay, we're doing all of these keys. I work out which key is going to give us the quickest results first, right? And normally mindset is done all the way through, but I was like, what's the strategy? Okay, do we need to make a little adjustment? Okay, let's start planning. Let's do plans, weekly, monthly, 90-day, yearly plans, right? Like really there consistently. Okay, how are we branded? Okay, we're looking pretty good right now. Do we need to make any adjustments? Okay, how are we marketing? Let's add some marketing elements here, right? Sales. She already had a decent sales process. I didn't need to change too much on the sales process. Numbers. We were evaluating a lot of numbers, right? In her business that she wasn't looking at before. Implemented heaps of systems, like huge. She wasn't using project management systems, all these other things that would really help her to, work with a team and grow the team there. And then, with the leadership side, she started hiring people, and we quadrupled her business in less than a year, right? Quadrupled the income, the revenue, which is amazing, right? And I've got a nice video testimonial of her, on my website. But basically, she says it. She goes, "We did all these things, right? And everything like that, and worked on her mindset." So, that's why, some people might be more specific in helping a business, and that's fine as well. Maybe a bit more specialist. I go to the fact that you need to know all these areas because they all interlock with each other, and I can bring specialists in as well where needed, to work together with too. But I'm more of the GP doctor, I guess, where we can go through all of them and make them all work together well to then, get the best outcome.
Now, did you work with her personally, or did you have other team that, like you said, you have specialists that come in as well, but were you the main point of contact?
I was the main point of contact for her for this one, right? So
Okay.
we didn't
Yeah.
go external. The only thing that we might have gone a little bit external was looking at maybe updating a website, branding, or things like that, right? Where people are
Yeah.
providing a particular sort of consultative service there,
Yeah.
where she couldn't implement herself. But basically, everything was just me on this one. Now, other clients,
Amazing.
we may bring other people in, right? To grow things and that area there, because the way I see it, especially if you want to outsource, is that you need to know a decent amount of all these areas that I've told you, even if you're not going to do it yourself. Like, for example, the marketing, right? You need to know enough about marketing that are you hiring the right agency to outsource your marketing to? Do you know the right questions to ask them to know that they actually know what they're talking about, so you don't get burnt like some people have been burnt in the past, right? So you got to know enough to be able to get the right people on board and everything in your business. So that's what I'm upskilling them on. Hopefully, if they can do it themselves, great. Or if we need external help, find the right people that's going to be with our business and work together to get the result that we want.
I always say that to people. You need to learn, you need to understand a base level of knowledge. So I love that you said that. I think that's so important. So do you have a like a standard sort of coaching model where you meet with your clients and then you give them the action steps and then you just hold them accountable through your 9 keys program? Is that how it works?
Yeah, definitely. So,
Yeah.
where I get the biggest results is a lot of my one-on-one coaching mentoring, right? Like we
Yeah.
fortnightly
Okay.
sessions normally. I give unlimited support outside of that as well. So if they want to, reach out to little things along the way, I tried this. What do you think, Athin? Or, can you check this out that we're doing? So that also helps. And that creates a lot of momentum, right? Because when I did my MBA, I did the studies. I did it, I had to build my business and did all the research for coaching. And if someone just says they're going to do something, they do it 20% of the time. If someone
Yeah.
has a coach mentor, they have regular sessions, they're invested in and that, they complete it 90% of the time. That's like 4.5 times the output, right, of someone there. So this is where one-on-one ongoing sessions really allows you to create, what you're wanting to, going forward and get massive results. Now, my one-on-one time is capped, right? Yes, I can get other people involved. I only want to do people that are really, committed to wanting to go. And normally I'll work for at least 12 months with people because it takes some months to build momentum, right? It's like
Absolutely.
one session. I might fix a few problems now, but there's going to be another 100, right, over time that we need to work on as you grow down that journey. Now, some other people might just want to come to an event with me and learn some knowledge, which is great as well. But then, are they going to implement? Most people don't implement, right? They will learn. They'll go to an event, write some notes, and implement. That's where the one-on-one comes in, or the ongoing coaching, mentoring to really do that. So that's where, I really can confirm as best as possible without doing the work for them that they're going to get the greatest results.
Awesome. So I want to talk about live events and stuff because I know you're a speaker and you just talked right there. You said in person at workshops. How much of your business or how much of what you do is in person and at events?
Yeah, like I've started doing more in person this year in 2024.
Okay.
Before that, because when I started, it was sort of end of 2019. So it's been, COVID obviously happened after that. So it was a lot of virtual stuff that was happening first. So, I do a bit of both, right? Like I think the benefits of COVID is that we were able to connect to a wider audience, right? So you weren't just having to deal with people in your local city. You could deal with people all over Australia or deal with people all over the world. So I've had people from over 10 countries, that I've worked with virtually with different types of events, whether they're for a few hours, whether they're for, I've done 3-day events, right, on Zoom, or I've done, 3-day events in person, right? So I have
Yeah.
like my business growth workshops or my 3-day MBA that I do in person here. And it's really great. Like I love the in person. There's obviously a bit more risk. There's a bit more cost. You got to pay for venues, AV, all these types of things. But you get more of a connection with people as well. So understanding how that works and this comes down to the testing as well, right? Like you're not going to just hit it out of the park the first event you do. And a lot of people, there's a lot of intricacies with in-person events, right? Compared to a virtual, which is a lot easier. So I think for everyone is like started virtual events. It's a great way to test, just using Zoom or whatever. And then you can just, as long as you've got a standard tech set up, there, then you can provide some value to people and ask, how people can do that. Maybe that's a 1.5, 2 hour, webinar type thing, seminar that you do. And then you could obviously do some more paid events. So that's sort of, my model is testing different things out. There I'm still testing, right? It's always testing. in business there, and just giving people specific value or teaching them all of these areas and going, now you've got the plan, you've the business plan, the marketing plan, all of these areas, now it's time to implement from there.
Yeah, nice. I'm glad you said that because quite a few of our listeners are really keen and interested in the whole event path. I mean, I have a guy who runs a big cybersecurity company who's just trying to do his own events. I have a styling company, a big mix of clients. So I'm glad that you said that. And you keep reiterating that theme of testing and trying new things. So important. Branding, I want to talk a little bit about that because you as a speaker and being out there in public facing of your business, how important do you think it is these days to be a front man of your business and to be out there and be visual and visible?
Yeah, definitely. Branding is so important. I think, there's a great saying is that marketing is the engine of your business and branding is the fuel, right? So
Yeah.
branding is what really maximizes it. So if you've got an average brand, putting all this money into marketing isn't necessarily going to help you that much, right? So branding is the key foundation. And we've got business brands, we've got personal brands. I think personal branding is becoming more and more important now, especially as a speaker or a coach, right? People are buying you. People buy people that don't buy products and services a lot of the time. So you need to be putting yourself out there more as a personal brand. And that can just start as social media, right? As your personal brand. And then, you can build that up to have your own website and other areas that you do with your personal brand. And the benefits of that is, you can do multiple businesses this way. So, as you're doing different things or attracting partners for your business. One of my coaches said that, people will only partner with you if they perceive that your brand is on the same level or above them, right? So how are you being perceived in your brand? And my personal brand just recently got updated, and it's now looking like how I am now because it was a few years old and I've had a lot more growth since then. So be aware of what it looks like and what are people looking and feeling, and it's becoming really, really important now. There's a lot of opportunities that are coming from that. People are wanting to do business in a lot of different ways. So I would just say, if you don't have it already, get your first name, last name.com or get official in there or whatever it is if you're a John Smith, and start to build something around that, because then, it's not just limited to what you do in your current business. It can offer much more than that later as you start thinking bigger and other bigger opportunities, for these multiple streams of income there. So I think it's extremely important. You should all be building that, and there's multiple ways, right? So just quickly, if you want to be building authority, right, to grow your authority as your personal brand. Celebrity branding is a big thing, right? Whether you like celebrities or not, other people do unconsciously. So if you're hanging around with all these celebrities or got pictures with them at least, or potentially interviewing them, then all of a sudden, like, oh, Athin must be somebody, Heather must be somebody, right? If they've got these people there. Speaking on stage, we just talked about speaking, right? Yeah. So most people have a fear of public speaking. So whether you're speaking in a group of 10 people in person, virtually, whatever it is, thousands, I've spoken in front of 1,000, 2,500 people, in Los Angeles, doesn't matter the size necessarily, but speaking, get those photos, get someone to take it of you, automatically elevates your authority. Being an author, it's in the word authority, and that could just be an ebook initially if you don't, want to create a massive book. Right now, getting into media where you can, getting results for people is really important. Getting on podcast interviews, being interviewed on a podcast, right, like we're doing right now, is a great way to build your authority, and obviously results, with your clients, case studies like we've been talking about today. So all of those things add to your authority. So thinking about how you can differentiate yourself. So when people look at you, they're like, wow, yeah, Athin, Heather, they're much more amazing than potentially a couple of other people that I'm looking at. I want to work with them.
People do business with people they know, like, and trust, right?
Definitely.
So that's yeah, and that's why I had to ask that question, because I am always beating people around the bush saying, guys, you have to do personal branding. You've got to get out there. It's so important. What's the future of business look like? What's a trend or two that you're finding that people need to pay attention to?
Yeah, definitely. I think the big one on everyone's lips is AI, right?
Yes.
Now it's gaining a lot of traction. So whether you're, I think everybody should be using it every day, right? ChatGPT, minimum. There's a lot of other AI tools out there, but let's just start with that because it's gaining a lot of, and get the paid version. There's a lot more you can do with the paid version, with creating images or videos, or you can upload documents and get summaries from them. You can do a whole range of things, and it's just understanding how to prompt it, right? So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, probably a lot of knowledge there, but you could even ask it how to prompt it, right? Which is a fun part of
I've done
ChatGPT.
that
So,
too. Yeah.
which is fun. I would be thinking about, how can you incorporate AI into your business, right? And then that's like, don't think about it as having to get rid of people, but it could be like, can you make yourself or your team double as efficient potentially, right? Where AI is doing half the work. So imagine you could grow your business double without having to hire any more people, right? So this is the potential of AI. And then also, can you build something that's unique to you? Can you upload information into an AI that you've created that is unique to your business and that you can extract information from? This is where it starts to get more powerful, right? And then if you could do it for your business, maybe you could even do it for an industry, right? At a later point. So this is where things are going now, where it's incorporating AI into what we do. So definitely be playing with it every day. It's moving quickly, and there's a lot of other tools out there as well that do stuff like, I've got you probably use this as well, but there's a cool, video platforms that just extract, little snippets from these podcast episodes and create the videos now and all of that, right? So there's a lot of cool stuff where it would take hours for someone to do, but now it takes minutes, for AI to do it. So why use the heavy lifting for someone in your team when AI can support that, and then you can work on other bigger things that's going to help grow the business as well.
Yeah, love that. Now, who's your ideal client, Athin? Who would you love to work with more of in the future?
Yeah, definitely. So for me, where I get the most fulfillment and I love working with is clients that already have some traction in their business. So they're making six figures, seven figures, even eight figures in their business already, and they're just going, okay, I want to grow. I'm a bit stuck. It's not growing too fast. Like, how do I get to that next level? Of growth, scaling, more clients, more revenue, but then ideally, wanting to make more wealth and freedom so that, you're not working too hard, you're working smarter, right, in terms of what you're doing there. And I've worked with over 30 different industries and know a lot more, predominantly service-based, but I've worked with some products. So the industry doesn't really matter to me because business is business a lot of the time. There's only a few nuances in each industry, and I've helped them all. But as long as you've got some traction, then they're normally the best clients. And I've had clients in over 10 countries, so the country doesn't really matter. It's just, are you really committed to really growing the business and doing what it takes? And then we can work together and as a team and get it to the next level.
Amazing. So where do they find you if they're interested?
Yeah, definitely. So check out my new website, athincassiotis.com. So my name .com there. It's got my 9 Keys to Business Growth Mastery ebook there as well, as a free resource that you can get there. And I won an ebook competition of over 400 people on that. So even just get it, not just for the gold value, but also how to model an ebook, study, right? To get something that people like. And it talks about everything, right? And also on my social media, there's only one of me, Athin Cassiotis. So if you find me on all the platforms like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all of that there. And love to connect with anyone, if I can add value a little bit or anything like that there. But get the resource, follow me, reach out, always adding a lot of value. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much as well, Heather, for having me on here. Look forward to hopefully repaying the favor soon. It's been a pleasure.
I'm loving every moment of our chat. And as we start to wrap up, is there one last word of wisdom or advice that you'd like to leave our listeners with who are growing their businesses and are maybe having a stressed out day and they're thinking, I want to give up? What would you say to them?
Yeah. Is just keep going. Most people quit too early, right, in their business. And if you never quit, you always succeed, right? So one thing that I'll say is if something's holding you back, everyone gets limiting thoughts from time to time, right? And normally it's the mindset shift that can make everything. So if you're saying business is hard or whatever that negative thing that's coming up for you, just be aware of it, catch it in your mind, and then go, okay, what's the opposite of that? What do I actually want to believe? Business is easy. Business is fun. I'm a master of business. Whatever that is for you, right? And you can stack multiples of those. Make sure they're in the present tense, right? Like I am a master of business as an example. And then say these, I put them in my phone, right? That's what I did a lot, at the start of my businesses, especially. Put it in your phone and then just tell these things to yourself every day because this will help re-script your brain from those other negative thoughts that have potentially been holding you back or making you feel overwhelmed and then start to think about who is the person that I am now that I want to be becoming, but believing you already are that now. So your unconscious mind goes, okay, this is now Athin. I'm going to move forward and I'm focusing on what I want. So I think that would be my biggest tip. those little shifts, they can make a massive difference in your business. I've had a business at a multi-million dollars. He came to me, went from 15 staff to 5. I did one mindset session on him, and his biggest month ever in his biggest business the month after that. No strategies, no tactics, right? So that's not to impress you. That's just, and we did strategies and tactics later. It just shows you the power of the mindset, right? It could just be one shift, and then bang, it could take your business to that next level of where you wanted to go.
Ah, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Much appreciated. Had a great conversation, and I'll talk to you soon.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Heather.